Welcome back. I'm Ali Langdon and you're watching After Impact, a program which looks at the life-changing consequences and hidden costs of surviving a serious road crash. One of those hidden costs is the social cost. If you're young and single, will you still get to go out with your friends? Will you still be considered attractive enough for a romantic relationship? When his accident happened, John's immediate concern was whether his new partner Sky would still want to be with him.
I knew I was a mess, and although I badly wanted to see her, I was a bit scared of what she would see in us. We hadn't been together long at that point. I didn't know whether she might just think this is too much and that'd be the end of it. There was a lot of uncertainty and doubt in my mind.
Serious injuries can affect everything, and things like relationships and can I have sex with my partner anymore? Is my body still attractive to my partner? Is that relationship that I cultivated with that really special person going to be the same anymore? A lot of the times it's not.
Nothing worked below my shoulders, basically. So that included my penis, which was not ideal. So that was definitely a concern if that was ever going to work again.
Before the accident, it was more of a, okay, I'm going to have kids one day, but now it's a lot more of a high risk pregnancy if I was to get pregnant because of my pelvis fractures that I've had previously.
I couldn't go to that birthday that I clicked attending to on Facebook. I couldn't go out and socialise with friends. I was seeing on social media people going out and having fun, and here's me needing 2 nurses to get me out of bed. I realised then that this was my reality now, this is my life.
I have struggled quite a bit with my appearance. If I meet people for the first time, they can't really tell. But I look at myself every day, so I notice changes, and I notice there's a scar between my eyes, and there are heavy bags under my eyes that weren't there before, but that's where the scar line is. I changed jobs because I didn't, I don't have to deal with people so much now in this new role, but I'm just not as outgoing as I used to be.
For road crash survivors, being left with serious injuries often means having to find new ways of doing the things you once took for granted. It's what's known as the functional cost of road trauma, and it's something most of us would hope to never experience.
Seeing the news reports of my car crash when I woke up out of my coma, saying that 22-year-old girl fighting for life, you don't see anything about me after that. You don't see how my life has changed, what I have to live with and do to recover. That is only a small second headline compared to what I have to go through to rebuild my life to the best I can. My life has completely changed. I didn't just survive in that car crash.
My recovery probably will never stop until I suppose I want to stop, but then as soon as I start stopping, then I'll start depleting and becoming less able and have to start relying on more assisted aids for myself and other people all the time.
Most people who do break their neck and break their back, fracture their vertebrae, will need lifelong support and care. As people age, as people take on new things in life, their body changes, and so for Lockie, it's not as simple as fix the change. It's hands-on therapy to make sure that his body can function optimally to be able to continue doing what he loves and what he enjoys.
From the moment that I had my car accident to pretty much where I am now to get back to full-time work again, it's taken almost 3 years to get to this point.
I live in constant pain. The moment I wake up, the moment I go to sleep, it feels like my left hand's kind of getting electrocuted or on fire with the nerve pain. It's just how it is every morning, every night, and every minute in between.
My memory is very poor in the recall side of things. I've got different things for directing me how to do stuff, like to make my oats or dal mixes, that kind of stuff, but sometimes I can forget how to put them in the right order or what to do first or second, that kind of stuff.
even now, a lot of my face is numb, and it feels like I've been kicked in the face with a soccer ball every day, and it drives me bonkers sometimes.
So Eli's crash and the resulting disability has affected him in a way that there's not a minute of the day when it's not part of his life. So things like struggling even to get out of bed in the morning, getting dressed, things like that. Some days he's fine and other days he has very little independence.
I will never be back to where I was before the crash. I certainly can't run. I have trouble walking at the end of the day. I still struggle with steps if there's no rail to hold on to.
If we want to go out, there's never a time when we can do that in a spontaneous way, because we have to plan, is there access? How close can we park? Will there be steps or uneven ground that he can't get across? There's never a time when he's not living with the results of his choices.
I decided to be part of this because before my accident, I used to just think of people in accidents, they either die or they'll be right. But the number of people that are injured with life-changing injuries is way higher than you can even imagine.
I would just ask people to just think a little bit, take that little bit of time beforehand to save a lifetime, and then you can just get on doing with the things that everyone planned to do.
And I think that, this has happened to William and this has happened to our family, and the impact has been insurmountable. It can happen to you.
Road safety statistics tell us there's an overrepresentation of young people in deaths, serious injuries and loss of licence. So what's being done? Well, across the country, there are numerous hands-on road safety programs being implemented in schools to try and reach young drivers, especially those about to get their licence. But as Charlie Reid, a senior community engagement officer from Road Safety in the NT, admits, there are some challenges.
How do we engage with people who already think they know everything about road safety? It's hard. I guess the one benefit we have is everyone's got skin in the game. This is an issue that affects everybody in our community. So the engagement in terms of that can be easy, but in terms of changing behaviours and improving attitudes can be difficult, particularly in the long term.
So today's presentation is about choices.
Across the NT, the Choices program attempts to change attitudes and ultimately behaviours of school students by focusing on risk and consequences.
We make choices every day. We make good choices and we make bad choices.
The road safety team also do their best to reach Aboriginal school kids with strong messaging on simple but extremely important things like wearing a seatbelt.
We try and focus a lot on seatbelts. Aboriginal people are overrepresented in our road stats compared to our population total, so they are overrepresented. And not wearing seatbelts is overrepresented as well across the cohort, but in Aboriginal fatalities. So we want kids to wear seatbelts. And the last thing we need to do is make sure it's just a little bit tight. Not super, 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 super tight so that we can't breathe and we're uncomfortable, and not super, super, super loose. All right, just a little bit tight.
Then there's PARTY, which stands for Prevent Alcohol and Risk-Related Trauma in Youth. The program's coordinator, Belinda Nolan, is proud of its unique approach.
I think what's good about the PARTY program is that we're bringing small groups of teenagers and we're taking them out of their school environment and bringing them into our environment and exposing them to what traumatic injuries can result from their risk-taking behaviour, and having them speak with doctors and nurses and other allied health, including paramedics, around what it is like for us looking after these trauma patients every day.
One of the activities that we get them to do during the day that they do get a lot out of is the Drunk Buster goggles. Do you think you'd be safe to drive a car? No. Can you see? A little bit. Do you want to see if you can throw a ball in there? Can you see the basket? Oh! So we do have an array of goggles that mimic drug, alcohol, intoxication,
And so we get them to wear these and have a go at a whole different ranges of alcohol intoxication and do activities.
When it comes to our rehabilitation activities, you know, getting them to just wear like a spinal collar on their neck for 40 minutes and having one arm restrained that they can't use throughout that session, and just try to do, you know, what we think is simple, you know, activities of daily living. And they just have to do that for, you know, 40 minutes, and then getting them to think that, you know, some people have to do this for, you know, weeks to months, or for the rest of their life they're limited.
I didn't realise that all the goggles, like the drugs that they were imitating, could actually alter the way that you see things that much. But it was very difficult to try and drive with them on.
Living with serious injury for the rest of my life. Maybe not out of my recklessness, but someone else's. Yes, it frightens me to death. One, because my family will have to see me in that condition. They've seen me in a better condition, and just for them to automatically switch to me in a wheelchair, or just can't even formulate a sentence, nonetheless go to the bathroom, it's really hard for them.
We definitely don't think about brain injury, and then just seeing that, it's quite confronting, and it really opens your eyes, I believe. You know, it's not something that everyone sees just every day, but being able to see it is really cool, and it's a really good learning opportunity for us.
And there's Street Smart High, an annual event that has brought together thousands of senior students, incorporating a major crash scene simulation with stories from people who have been impacted by serious road trauma. Across all of these initiatives, there's one clear goal: to change attitudes towards road safety through education and personal stories. Still to come, our road crash survivors talk about what they've lost from their lives, but also how they've turned their lives around, and where possible, are now using their own experience to help others.